there's this show called Non-Average, and it's about the life of an older adolescent with autism whose life generally sucks. Shows about autism and other neurological disorders rarely work because it's really hard to get it right, and this one's no different. The show follows this dude named Stan and his lame-ass associates. Stan has a dad, and he's the least interesting character. He did the dash on his family when Stan was 4, cause having an autistic child was too much for him, but he reappears, and naturally everyone's on edge about him, but his wife cheats on him later, so I have to at least root for him a little bit. He also becomes an EMT, so that's nifty, but he spends most of his time giving bad advice to Stan, and being a poor father all around. The mom's worthless and the cause of most of the show's problems. She spends the majority of the first season having an affair with some dude who works at a bar. They fornicate a bunch, but the dad isn't with the shits, so he finds out real quick and packs up the dude who penetrated his wife. Other than that, she does nothing of use, and this affair plotline was just forgotten halfway through, so it's not even like it had any lifetime consequences on anyone, and it wouldn't be so bad if they didn't want me to treat her as some sort of protagonist. They really expect me to take her crackhead conversations with her lame-ass associates anywhere near seriously. She also probably has the least effect on any other character in the plotline, other than everyone basically hating her, until at least the show completely forgets that she's a despicable person again. Stan also has a sister who's the best character in the whole show. She always bullies him, but she's the only one who can, and she's ready to defend Stan when in a jam. And she also runs. She does track, and she got wheels. She got such good wheels that they wanted her to go to a private school, so she did, but she hates it and is in her feels about it constantly. But I get it, she has all these external forces telling her to do shit she don't want to do. And when she did try to dip out of track, everyone thought she was depressed. But the thing is, when she was actually depressed, she laid in her bed for days and no one cared. She also has a husband, but then quickly divorces him and gets a wife. See, loyalty is not strong in this family. Think about it, the dad left the kid because he had autism. The mom had an affair the whole season, and the sister kind of had an affair for a little bit, but did the right thing and left the husband and got with the wife. Stan's the only one who can be in a consistent relationship without cheating. The wife is fine, I don't have any problems with her. She's probably the least non-likable character other than the sister. The dad really dislikes the sister's wife and tries to act like it's not because his daughter's a Ladala bean. But this is the same guy who did the race like TK on his whole family because his son was born with autism. So being mad his daughter's a Ladala bean isn't above him. Not saying I agree with his actions, but this dude's not the most high and mighty individual. But probably the least likable character of them all is Stan himself. Sure, he has autism, so he doesn't take social cues and is somewhat awkward, but that isn't an excuse for most of his behaviors I'm gonna be talking about. Like, there was one scene where this girl's ponytail was getting a little bit too close to Stan's face, which pissed him off respectfully. But instead of politely asking her to cut the shit, he goes straight King Kong on her ass. And somehow is still played like he's the victim in this situation, and therefore learns absolutely nothing. This isn't the only time this happens. Stan also has a wife who I can tell genuinely cares about him. I wish I could say the same about Stan. He will blatantly ignore her when trying to talk about serious subjects, or just change the subject out of nowhere. Like, his wife will walk up to him to complain about her shitty ass work, and then he'll ask some questions about Antarctica, like, were you even listening? He will often just completely blow off dates or other events that they had set up together just to be a couple and go and do some other bullshit, like start a fundraiser so he can go to Antarctica. And if it weren't enough for him to be portrayed as the victim, the wife is looked at as a total bitch for even suggesting that he could be acting out of line. Like that's what being married is for. Almost every time that the wife got mad at Stan, I completely sided with her because I understood where she was coming from. But the characters sided with Stan because he's the main character. There's also a bunch of worthless characters, like some therapist that Stan wants to pipe. At one point, literally breaking into her house to give her some chocolate-covered strawberries with his dad as the accomplice. The funniest thing about it all is the dad didn't even realize he was partaking in a home invasion until it was too late. He also has a friend who's also his co-worker, who's an L of a person. He spends most of his time smoking weed, living with his parents, and giving Stan terrible advice. Like sometimes, yeah, he tells him to do some practical things, but almost everything that he tells Stan to do is an L for everyone at the end. And sometimes he just acts like a total bitch. Like one time he tried to help some hot girl steal some stuff, but Stan wasn't with that, so he snitched him out to his boss. And he was pressed about that for some reason. Like Stan might be a douchebag, but at least he cares about his job. And Stan does so much for this loser, it's almost unhealthy. Like one time his friend's need to always be off one was getting in the way of his work. Literally smoking a bowl on his break at his work. Like not even separate from his work, at his work. His boss caught him and threatened to fire him if he saw him smoking pot on campus again, like any boss would. But as we've saw before, he doesn't give a fuck about his job, so he just goes and smokes some more pot on his next break. His boss catches him again, but instead of getting fired like he should have, Stan takes the blame and says that it was his pot he was smoking at his work, which is still illegal even if it were prescribed to him, but the boss lets it slide. This happened before the thievery nonsense, so it's not like he even learned anything. The earlier seasons though, season 1 and 2 primarily, at least tried to give the characters depth and make me take them seriously. Like I can tell I'm supposed to hate the mom, but now everyone's such a goofy I can't take anything seriously, and everyone's a protagonist. But none of them have likable qualities with a few exceptions. They also never learn. No one ever learns from anything that happens, so it's not like the characters get smarter or stronger as they go. Now everybody's just the same flawed character, but less deep, and less understandable, and less relatable. So I guess the lesson to be taken here is that there's a difference between being an egotistical asshole and just having autism. They are not one and the same. There's a difference between not understanding people and just straight up not caring about them. So anyways, that's it. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. You should also check out my last video on some cartoon from Canada. Or don't. I'm just suggesting. I'm not the YouTube police. And if you could leave a like and subscribe, that would help a lot too. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.